By Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, the long wait. Supreme Court to hear 39 fundamental rights petitions challenging the 20th Amendment to the Constitution tomorrow. Leaving the door open. Former IGP Pujith Jayasundara tells the Easter Commission that negligence gave the Easter attackers carte blanche to operate. No connection. Government spokesman Kelly Rambukwella dispels rumours of links between $15 million Indian grant and the 13th Amendment. Deserved dues. Travel ban slapped on new diamond tanker captain as government awaits imminent 422 million rupee interim compensation payout. All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Monday the 28th of September 2020.
Nava sunlight sakura. Then Dikukal Pavatina Sakura Mal Suandin.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamnik Ekanaik. Let's start with your local stories. As fundamental rights petitions mount challenging the draft of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, a 5-member bench of the Supreme Court is set to hear a total of 39 petitions tomorrow. Just today alone, 21 new petitions were filed by various parties, including Election Commission member Professor Ratnajivan Hool, the Samangi Janabalawege Youth Organisation and the United National Party. A ruling, meanwhile, is expected within 21 days.
A total of 21 more petitions challenging the draft of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution were filed in the Supreme Court today. Some of the petitioners include Election Commission member Professor Ratnajivan Hool, United National Party General Secretary Akila Viraj Karyavasam and Deputy Leader Ruwan Wijewardena, Chairman of the Samgi Janabalawege Youth Organisation Mayantha Disanayaka and Attorney at Law P. Liana Rachi on behalf of the Sri Lanka National Front.
අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා සමගි තරුණ බලවේගය හැටියට සුප්‍රීම උත්සාවය මැගින් මේ 20 වෙන සංශෝධනයට එරෙහිව තීන්දුවක් දීලා මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය ආරක්ෂා කරා ගනී කියන බලාපොරොත්තු තමයි අපිට තියෙන්නේ.
Accordingly, 39 of the petitions are expected to be heard tomorrow by a 5-member bench of the Supreme Court consisting of Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya and Justices Bhuvaneka Alvihare, Sisira Diabru, Priyantha Jayawardena and Vijit Manalgoda. As is customary in such cases, a decision is to be expected within 21 days from tomorrow. Meanwhile, a 10-member committee has been appointed by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, headed by Minister Nimal Sirupala de Silva, to study the proposed 20th Amendment to the Constitution and submit the party's recommendations. The SLFP committee's recommendations, views and suggestions are to be submitted to the committee appointed by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa to review the draft bill.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ මහලේකම්තුමා ප්‍රකාශ කළා තුනා යම් යම් කරුණු පිළිබඳව අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමා සමග සාකච්ඡා කරන්න කැමතියි. 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය කියලා කියන්නේ මේක මේ පොහුට්ටුවේ තරම් කරපු සිළු දෙනාගේම ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය තීරණයක්. ඒකේ කාලීන අවශ්‍ය සංශෝධන තියෙනවා ඒවා යෝජනා කරන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් ඒ ඉදිරිපත් කරපු සංශෝධනය පිළිබඳව අවබෝධයෙන් යුතුව කටයුතු කරන්න සිළු දෙනාම බැඳී ඉන්නවා. 19ට ජනතාවට විවේචන දෙනවා. විස්තර ජනතාව එකඟ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා සාහතිකවම මේ රටේ ජනතාව පෙළගස්සලා අපි වමේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ නායකත්වය යටතේ විශ්ව පරාද කළ යුතුයි පරාද කරනවාමයි ඒක පිළිබඳ කිසිම සැකයක් තියාගන්න එපා. 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය නිසා වෙන්නේ 19 වන සංශෝධනයට පෙර පැවතිච්ච තත්වයට ආපසු යෑම. එහෙනම් 19 වන සංශෝධනයට ඉස්සෙල්ලා තිබිච්ච විගණන බලතල ඒ සියලුම බලතල තාම තියෙනවා. අබමල් රියනුවකින් වෙනස් වෙලා නැහැ. ඉතින් එහෙනම් ඒ තත්වයේ
වැඩි විවේචනයට භාජනය නොවුනේ ඒ කාලේ අවුරුදු 31 කාලය තුළ. ඒවා පටු දේශපාලන අරමුණු සඳහා ඉදිරිපත් කරන ව්‍යාජ තර්ක. එම නිසා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ മന്ത്രിවරුන් කීප දෙනෙකුත් මේකට සහයෝගය දීමට ඉදිරිපත් වෙයි කියලා. 20 වන සංශෝධනය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට කොහොමදත් අපි දානවා ආයවැය ලේඛනයට ඉස්සෙල්ලා. ඉතින් ඒක වෙනවා ඔක්තෝබර් අන්තිමට හෝ නොවැම්බර් මුල් සතිය. එතන ඉඳන් මාස 6ක කාලයක් තුළ සම්පූර්ණ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව පිළිබඳ සියලු කටයුතු සම්පූර්ණ කරනවා කියන එක නෙමෙයි. මූලික ගැටුම්පත පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මාස 6ක ඇතුළත.
හැබැයි දැන් අර මාස 6 කියලා කිව්වන් එක සැරේටම ආවේ මේකත් හදලාද තියෙන්නේ කොහෙද?
ඒක හදලා නැහැ. දැන් ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ මාස 6න් ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව ඉවරයි කියලා. මම එහෙම කිසි දෙයක් කිව්වේ නැහැ.
දැන් මේ හරහා ප්‍රසම්පාදන කොමිසම ඉවත් වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
ප්‍රතිසම්පාදන කොමිසම ඉවත් වෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒකෙන් මොකද්ද වෙච්ච සෙත රටට?
Enjoy a very smooth shave with the Big Easy 2 razor. Big Easy 2.
Former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara admits that negligence of police officers resulted in Easter attacks ringleader Zahran Hashim going about his merry way acting freely before the explosions. He also admitted before the Presidential Commission probing the attacks that the Easter Sunday slaughter could have been prevented had Criminal Investigation Department arrested the suspect Ami Mohideen, whose hideout was known to the CID. Jayasundara went on to say that reconciliation was the flavour in the lead-up to the attacks, which limited his own scope of action. Former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara gave evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday terror attacks for a fourth day today. During the proceedings, the state's Additional Solicitor General asked the former IGP as to why Ami Mohideen, who had ties with Zahran, was not arrested when State Intelligence Service had given the location of his hideout to an officer of the Criminal Investigation Department named Dias. The former IGP replied, quote, "This is a confusing situation. They should have immediately arrested the warrant holder. There is no issue in using him as an informant after taking legal action. But it is said that they have used him as an informant in a backdrop where the suspect wasn't arrested." Unquote. The commission then asked the witness, wouldn't the attacks have been prevented had Ami Mohideen been arrested? The former IGP's response to that was, quote, "Yes, I think that now. Given the level of ties between Ami Mohideen and Zahran, much information could have been uncovered had Ami Mohideen been arrested and the attack could have been averted." Unquote. The commission then asked the former IGP whether he accepts that negligence of officers at the police department enabled Zahran to act freely. The witness responded, quote, "Yes, I accept that the negligence of officers of the police department was a factor in Zahran acting freely." Unquote. The state's Additional Solicitor General meanwhile quizzed the witness on the action taken pertaining to the foreign intelligence forwarded to him on the 9th of April by the State Intelligence Service and the Chief of National Intelligence. The former IGP's response was, quote, "I marked FNA on the letter and sent it to 4 senior Deputy Inspectors General of Police. That too was sent via 4 messengers. I considered it to be a specifically important piece of information. That's why I did what I did." Unquote. The chairman of the commission then asked the witness as to why the letter was marked FNA. He added, quote, "Shouldn't you, as the IGP, have included something more significant? Why wasn't instructions given on action to be taken?" Unquote. Former IGP Pujit Jayasundara's response was, quote, "FNA means for necessary action. But some have interpreted this insultingly as for no action. This is a specific piece of intelligence sent by a foreign intelligence agency. But our State Intelligence Service had not found any information pertaining to this. They had not sent this in a responsible manner, since it says that further investigations are being conducted on the above information. That means there is no conclusion. Given the facilities and privileges provided to the State Intelligence Service, their only professional field is intelligence information. But they had not added anything to this, and it was only the foreign intelligence. That information, however, is important. When this piece of information came to me, it was marked top secret, eyes only. Eyes only means it is for my attention alone. Since my attention alone wasn't enough, I sent it to the foremost senior officers under me who can act. They know how to act on things like this. At that time, I did not have the capability to give detailed instructions. Given the political situation back then, what was talked about was reconciliation. I endured political pressures. I have to work, But there could also be allegations. That is why I forwarded this letter to the senior officers below me in this manner. But it does not mean dereliction of duty from my part." Unquote. Now, a media briefing was held today by the Government Information Department to clarify key points that were discussed during the virtual summit between Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. Minister of Mass Media Kehelia Rambukwala dispelled rumours that the $15 million grant that was given by India to Sri Lanka for the promotion of Buddhism in the country is linked to commitment by the Sri Lankan side to enact the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Light was also shed on Indo-Lanka trade that was discussed by the two leaders during the summit.
I must also express that there were certain media reports tying up the $15 million that was agreed upon by the two prime ministers as a grant to Sri Lanka, attached to the 13th Amendment and the issues of the 13th Amendment, which is completely false. The $15 million was a grant for fostering the Buddhist philosophy and the cultural activities of Sri Lanka. Nothing to do with the 13th Amendment. I think that clarity must be made very clear. The Prime Minister Modi called on the government of Sri Lanka to address the aspiration of the Tamil people for equality, justice, peace and respect within a united Sri Lanka by carrying forward the process of reconciliation with the implementation of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa expressed the confidence that Sri Lanka will work towards realizing the expectations of all ethnic groups, including Tamils, by achieving reconciliation nurtured as per the mandate of the people of Sri Lanka and implementation of the constitutional provisions.
Part with regard to the economic affairs was that we brought to the notice of the Indian Prime Minister that there is a difference in the trade balance and that should be at some stage addressed. He did mention about the swap arrangement that the Indian authorities had granted to the Sri Lankan authorities, and that was also acknowledged. But going forward, we are looking at ways and means in which the trade imbalance could also be addressed.
We will see you shortly after this break. Bear with us.
Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that developing the country's textile manufacturing capacity could reduce the country's costs and dependence on fabric imports by a massive 68%. The comments from the head of state came during a series of inspection visits to several textile mills today.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa engaged in an inspection trip of several textile mills this morning. During the visit, industrialists told the president that the coupon system that was introduced for the distribution of school uniforms led to the closure of several manufacturing facilities set up with massive investments, which resulted in severe loss of employment. During the inspection trip, the head of state also visited the Dankoto textile mill located in the Dankoto industrial zone, which has been closed down since 2015. The president requested the mill's management to recommence production soon and urged them to look into providing opportunities for self-employed textile manufacturers for the supply of textiles for school uniforms. The head of state also revealed that 68% of the country's import costs can be reduced through the development of local textile manufacturing operations. The president added that the Ministry of Education will be able to save more than 8 million rupees through the purchasing of locally manufactured textiles. In the meantime, President Gotabaya also visited Vanguard Industries in Kadana, which accounted for 40% of the textiles needed for school uniforms prior to 2015. The management of the factory informed the president that the facility is in a position to supply 30% of the country's total school uniform material requirement. In another development, the head of state also inspected the Creative Textile Mill, which produces fabric for armed forces uniforms. The president requested the management at the mill to target both the local and foreign markets by utilizing the relief measures provided by the government. The head of state also urged the management to increase production according to market demands.
After an agreement reached between the Attorney General's Department and the owners of the empty New Diamond tanker on the interim compensation claim, the government is expected to receive the full amount either today or tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Greek captain of the stricken vessel was given an overseas travel ban after he appeared before the Colombo chief magistrate today, facing accusations of safety failures and also failure to inform authorities at the time of the incident.
The supertanker MT New Diamond caught fire on the 3rd of September off the eastern coast of Sri Lanka and took over 1 week for firefighting operations to successfully contain the fire and render the vessel safe for salvage operations. Due to the scale of the near-catastrophic blaze, the captain of the vessel has been accused of failing to follow the mandatory onboard fire safety measures, as well as failure to notify the required authorities of the incident. In this regard, the Criminal Investigation Department issued notice to the Greek captain on the 17th of September to appear before the Colombo Chief Magistrate. Accordingly, he appeared in court at around 9:30 am this morning, where Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammad Miha rejected the Attorney General's request to remand him and instead ordered the Controller General of Immigration and Immigration to impose a ban on any foreign travel to prevent him from leaving the country. Further, the magistrate ordered the captain to provide full assistance to the government's investigations and to also inform the court of any change in his current place of residence. Meanwhile, the vessel's owning company on Saturday the 26th agreed to pay the interim compensation claim of 442 million rupees to the Sri Lankan government, which reports say may be received either today or tomorrow. Further, Indian media reports have stated that the vessel is currently being towed by 2 tugboats contracted by the Singaporean salvage company to Vadinar in the Indian state of Gujarat, where the crude oil will be pumped out at the offshore oil terminal of the Kandla port. The reports added that the journey has been estimated to take around 10 to 12 days and the vessel will be monitored by the Indian Coast Guard throughout.
Now, the case against the 13 Police Narcotics Bureau officers accused of drug racketeering was heard before the Colombo Magistrates Court today. The court heard that an army-issued pistol had been found from the possession of the underworld figure known as Manju. The state's Additional Solicitor General told the court that further probes are a must to ascertain how the weapon ended up in the hands of the criminal and the identity of the army officer for whom the weapon was issued.
The case filed against the 13 Police Narcotics Bureau officers accused of links to drug racketeering was heard before the Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammad Mahir today. The 13 officers were, however, not presented in court today. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris, appearing for the Criminal Investigation Department, told the court that a suspect identified as Manju has been arrested by the police and that investigations are currently underway. He also told court that investigators recovered 2 pistols and 2 T-56 automatic rifles following interrogation of the suspect, and investigations into the serial numbers of the weapons have also been concluded. The Deputy Solicitor General revealed that one of the pistols was a Sri Lanka Army issue weapon that had been issued to the Security Forces headquarters in Jaffna on the 31st of December 1996. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris pointed out that this revelation raises serious questions as to how such a weapon ended up in the hands of an underworld figure. He then told court that further investigations must be conducted into identifying the military officer to whom the weapon was issued as well. The Deputy Solicitor General also told court that assets collected by the 13 PNB officers worth around 190 million have been suspended so far. Attorney at Law Ajit Patirana, appearing for the accused, requested that he be allowed to make further submissions with regards to his request for the release of the suspects on sureties. Following this, the magistrate ruled that submissions be made on the 7th of October and ordered that the 13 suspects be further remanded until the 12th of October. In the meantime, a special task force personnel from the Ratgama camp discovered 39 live T-56 ammunition and training ammunition that had been buried inside a plastic pipe at the Karavegoda beach in Ratgama yesterday. Meanwhile, intelligence officers of the Western Province apprehended a suspect with 4 kilograms of the narcotic known as Mava, who was engaged in selling narcotics targeting children in the areas of Grand Pass near the Sri Sangabodhi Mahavidyalaya. Elsewhere, the Tabuwana police arrested a suspect selling cannabis mixed with a herbal narcotic known as Madana Modaka to school children from a shop run by him in Neboda, Kalutara yesterday. Following a tip-off, the Tabuwana police searched the shop yesterday and seized 10,175 packets of the narcotic hidden in the ceiling of his home, located on the top floor of the shop as well as inside the shop. In other developments, the Atharugiriya police arrested 2 suspects who were running a heroin racket in Malabe and Atharugiriya today. One person was arrested with 500 grams of heroin in Malabe, while the other suspect was arrested in Atharugiriya with 10 grams of heroin hidden inside a cap. It was revealed that the duo who had operated scrap metal collection outlets had paid their employees with heroin instead of cash. The police stated that further investigations are underway to determine whether they had any connection with the organized criminal known as Atharugiriya Ladia. Meanwhile, Indian media reports say that the crime branch officials of India's Criminal Investigation Department have deployed a team to trace the whereabouts of a close aide of Sri Lankan criminal Angoda Lokka, identified as Chanuka. The suspect is said to have escaped from Madurai with a pistol belonging to the deceased underworld leader. The report also revealed that the pistol and other important materials were believed to have been handed over to Chanukka. The report added that Chanukka is wanted by Sri Lankan authorities as well as authorities in some states in India.
Reverend Dushanta Rodrigo has been picked as the new Anglican Bishop of Colombo. The announcement was made by Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, today. Archbishop Welby was asked by the Diocesan Council of Colombo to select its next diocesan bishop in accordance with its constitution when they found themselves unable to do so last month. Reverend Rodrigo said today that our people who are so diverse live side by side and strive to bring meaning to every moment, and we are truly blessed to be part of that life-giving diversity. Popular Sri Lankan actor and film director Tennyson Kure passed away today. The character, adored by many, passed away while receiving treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. One of Sri Lanka's best-known comedians, Kure is also renowned for his roles in stage drama in addition to cinema. He was also a screenplay writer and a producer. He is best known for his comedy roles in films such as Raya Daniel, Dawal Miguel, Perlikario, Somi Boys and Vadabari Tarzan. The late actor's final rites will be held on Thursday, the 1st of October at the Methodist Church in Mortamulla. Tennyson Kure was 68 at the time of his passing. We will see you shortly. Bear with us. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, Commander of the Sri Lanka Army Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva calls on the tourism industry to invest more in ensuring a safe environment for tourists. While addressing the 7th consecutive International Tourism Leaders Summit and Tourism Research Conference sessions, the Army Commander added that ensuring a conducive environment for tourists should not solely fall on the government and the Triforces or any particular individual.
The national celebration of the World Tourism Day was worked off at the Kandy City Centre yesterday. Theme Tourism and Rural Development, the event was held under the patronage of Minister of Tourism Prasanna Ranatunga.
$320 billion in earnings from tourism were lost in the first 5 months of 2020 alone. So let me present some of the recommendations of the UN World Tourism Organization for companies. As industry professionals, number one, you can develop tourism products and services tailored for customs for domestic income to ensure that everyone in your country can become a tourist. Number two, it is so critical that we can significantly reduce waste and ensure that any unavoidable waste is utilized to the fullest potential. Number three, ensure the participation of women, 30% or greater, in decision making and governance at all levels and across all business areas and tourism related cooperation. Fourth, to train and recruit and employ from the local community members surrounding the resorts, including those living in poverty, and integrate them in your value chain.
Meanwhile, the 7th consecutive International Tourism Leaders Summit and Tourism Research Conference sessions was also held parallel to the official celebration of the World Tourism Day under the patronage of Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva. It was held under the theme Together Towards Resilience, Responsible and Sustainable Sri Lankan Tourism.
The stability of the tourism industry essentially depends on how soon it can recover. Strategies in the tourism industry should also be robust and resilient to recover at the same time, same rate as national security is restored. It is a point to note that ensuring a conducive environment for tourism should neither be limited to the government and Triforces efforts, nor any citizen of this country take the condition of security for granted. Conversely, the tourism industry must invest much more in creating a safe environment for tourists. I feel the leaders of the tourism field should think out of the box and formulate strategies create joint responsibilities in collaboration with local commitments, communities, tour operators, accommodation providers and police for achieving concerned security. If the tourism sector also could collaborate in these prospects, we can give the security guarantee for the tourism community.
Sri Lankan shares rose today to close at their highest level in over 8 months, supported by gains in consumer and financial stocks. The benchmark stock index closed up 2.89% at 6,028.20 after hitting the highest level since January 7th, while the S&P SL20 index of liquid stocks closed up 0.55% at 2,495.7 points. Investment firms Bukit Dara PLC and Carson Cumberbatch PLC were the top boosters to the index. Now here's a brief report on today's market performance.
The market broke the 6,000 psychological level, recording a near 9-month high, sustained the drive in the positive direction for the third consecutive day. Index experienced a spike in the first hour of trading, recording a continuous uptrend due to the buying interest in Carson's and Bukit, and closed at 6,028 with an advance of 169 points. Turnover was mainly led by capital good counters and material counters, contributing 32%. Foreign investors continued to be net sellers, and the foreign selling was mainly seen in Asphalt Holdings and Expo, followed by overseas realty. Foreigners continued to be net sellers, recording moderate participation.
Sri Lanka Cricket today confirmed that the Bangladesh tour of Sri Lanka is postponed owing to the pandemic situation. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.